Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for news stories from Yellowcat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. The new guy at my work just got fired for stealing $100 from the register on his second day. What is the quickest you've seen someone fired/quit? No punchline, but I worked for a small internet agency a few years ago and was told in the interview that it was going to be a developer job. The MD, president for our American cousins, walked out of the room saying that he was going to find the technical head and get him to talk to me. He walks back in a few moments later telling me the tech head was too busy with an emergency, but he offered me the position anyway, starting in a couple of weeks. I start and work away quite happily for a week or two. Then I start getting weird questions like, can you administer an Outlook server? I mention this to the tech head who gets jumpy. It turns out, he and the MD get on approximately as well as baby seals and large men with clubs. He then tells me that he didn't even know that anyone was starting until 2 days before my start date. I'm then called into the MD's office and told that I have 2 weeks to learn how to administer all of the internal systems. I put 2 and 2 together and decide that A, they wanted a replacement for the tech head and that I'm the sucker in the frame for 2/3 of all money. B, the MD never approached the tech head and just hung around outside to make it look like he was talking to him. Not liking being taken for an idiot, I hand in my notice that afternoon and go to work with a friend in another company. If you're going to replace senior staff members, don't do it by misrepresenting a job. We hired this woman for a top-level executive position a few years ago. She had some lower-level experience in the same general area, but it was fairly obvious she was out of her depth from day one. Things probably would have been okay, even in her top position. There was really only so much damage she could do, but she got a call from a headliner for an even bigger position, and boy did she let everyone know it. Long story short, she didn't end up with the newer, bigger spot. Major egg on FaceTime. Then, when she tried to function in her position with us, things went from bad to worse. She ended up quitting, much to the combined disgust/relief of just about everyone halfway through her contract. Alaskan politics sucks. When I was a teenager, I had a job at a country club washing dishes. Wasn't the most fun or best paying, but everyone in the kitchen were friends, so it made the job easy. The manager hired this new kid, Red Peant, to help out, so we were asked to show him how to do things. This was right before lunch was over, so within a few minutes, all the dishes and plates come back. This kid took a nice long look at the big mountain of dirty dishes and goes, No way, I'm not doing those, that's disgusting. So we ask him to go sweep the other side of the kitchen and start mopping so we don't have to later, and he goes, I'm not sweeping the floor or mopping it. I don't do those kind of things. At this point, one of the older guys in the kitchen says, Is there anything you can do? The kitchen got real quiet after that. The kid looked at the guy, then back at the pile of dishes, and then walked out the door never to be seen again. He was there for maybe 20 minutes and didn't lift a finger the entire time. 1 week. Hired a new girl on of those extremely white, think she's black cause she's dating a black guy girls. Well, she starts, day 1 goes okay, taught her the ropes of the store. She seemed receptive enough. Day 2 comes by, she doesn't remember a thing. That's fine, she's new. So I teach her the ropes again. Day 3, she doesn't show up. Day 4, shows up and gets reprimanded for not showing up. She made up some big story about how she had a huge family emergency and lost her phone. Manager pulls up her Facebook, which shows all her posts from the day before gloating about how she is skipping out on work. She breaks down and gives manager a sob story about having a baby and expecting another one and how she needs the job. Manager says fine and gives her a second chance. Next day, she doesn't show up again. Manager calls her and fires her. She flips out and screams over the phone. He just hangs up. She tried coming in the next week for work, and the manager had to threaten to call the police to get her out of the store. It was golden. We had a new sales manager starting. She turned up on the first day, quite obviously inebriated and smelling pretty bad. She stumbled around for a minute without saying a word to anyone until she managed to drop her bag on the floor, at which point out fell a half-drunken bottle of booze. That bottle of booze then proceeded to roll slowly across the office floor to the stunned silence of everyone watching until it eventually came to a stop right at the foot of the office manager. The look on the office manager's face during this whole proceeding was priceless. Unsurprisingly, she was taken into a meeting room for about 10 minutes and left straight after. The office manager swears to this day that she was really good in the interview. Maybe this will make me look bad, but screw it, I still think it was the right decision. Years ago, I got a job working at a Blockbuster. It took a month between them hiring me and me actually starting, but that's a different story. First day, I go into the shop I got hired at 5 minutes from my house. They put me in the back. I watched training videos all afternoon. Fine. Next day, they call me up and tell me they've transferred me to the shop across town half an hour away. That sucks, but okay, I go over. I show up and the manager is crazy looking. He's got bloodshot eyes and a blank expression. He showed me around for 5 minutes, handed me off to the 2 other girls who worked there, and spent the next 8 hours in the back. The entire shift, the 2 girls constantly talked about how much they hated working for the company and the manager, and how desperately they wanted to quit but couldn't afford to. They actually pleaded with me to get out while you still can. You don't know what it's like. Leave now. When the other people at your new job tell you to run for your life, you tend to listen. That was my last day at Blockbuster. The year was 1996 and I was working at a McDonald's in a small town. It was the middle of the summer and a new hire walks in for his first day. It was slow, so I showed him what he needed to do to stock the sauces under the register. This is pretty straightforward, so I left him to it. 15 minutes later, I hear a blood-curdling screech. I can't take it anymore! I walked out of the grill area just in time to see him walk out the door. No customers at all, just stocking sauce packets. Apparently too stressful. My second job ever was in the concession at a chain movie theater in high school. I was part of 4 new hires being trained in concession on a random Wednesday night in between rushes. We just went through 30 minutes of training on popcorn, butter, and popcorn bags. Someone in my group asked a question, which the trainer took as a smart-A remark. The trainer responded as any 21-year-old working as an assistant manager in a chain movie theater would, with another smart-A remark. When the trainer turned around, the trainee flipped him off. We didn't know this until then, but there was a one-way mirror above the concession so that the other managers could observe us work in a very Big Brother way. A manager in the office radioed down to the trainer and told them that the offending trainee was to go home because they were fired. He lasted 30 minutes of training on popcorn, butter, and popcorn bags. We didn't even learn how to clock in or out yet. I worked at a casino. It was an awesome job for a summer student. Slot attendant, work crappy hours, walk around, pay people their jackpots, shoot the S with the other workers. It wasn't a hard job, but it paid amazing. The tips were the best I have seen. They hired 2 of us. For the first 2 weeks, you do not get the keys and do not get to collect tips. We both get through the training part and get to collect tips. It's her first day making the real money. She probably walked away with $300 for a slow Tuesday night. She goes up to the supervisor, hands him the keys, and goes, "Sorry, I don't like shift work." Leaves, and they give me the choice of hiring another student or giving me more shifts. I took more shifts, fully paid for a year of Canadian university with 1 summer of working. Could not believe that girl went 2 weeks of training on shift work only to quit when the real money starts rolling in. I spent 5 hours breaking the law for money. I was a recent college graduate and looking for a job in Chicago circa 2005. I wind up getting hired by a sales/marketing company. On my first day, we start off the morning with one of those motivational pep talks where all the employees are shouting stuff about being awesome. Like straight out of Boiler Room or something. A bit awkward for an introduction to a new job, but whatever. We head down to the Magnificent Mile. It's a beautiful day to be outside and warm enough that cute girls are everywhere wearing their summer dresses and whatnot. Not bad. I'm paired up with an experienced employee and we walk around selling people reduced price massage packages. It's fun, you get to talk to random people, and I'm a pretty decent salesperson, so I'm taken to it pretty well. Then I get told to stop approaching people by my trainer. Sure, I say. Why not? I ask. What's up? Why'd we stop? My trainer informs me that there's a cop that can see us, and what we're doing isn't technically legal. You can't solicit random people on the street like this. And then I let them know I was out. I was broke, but not so broke that I was going to get a job that was illegal, no matter if it's just technically. That was my shortest job. 5 hours as an accidental criminal. At least it was a nice day. First retail job. This guy I knew vaguely from around my school shows up for orientation as well. Total go hard, I'm alpha beta kinda peant that has a terrible work ethic and complains all the time, so I knew he wouldn't last long. Let's call this guy Terry. Terry had applied for overnight freight. During orientation, while the instructor is getting materials, he tells us that he lied on his resume about getting fired from his last job and said he walked out, and that S was so cash they fell for it on the interview. I knew it was barely a matter of days. 2 days of orientation, last thing we do on day 2 is tour the security of the place. We have moving cameras and crap, extensive file retention, and the security manager specifically goes over how easy it is to get caught stealing on the job. Day 3, where's Terry? Oh, he got fired. Really? 3 days in? Why am I not surprised? What happened? Well, we found out that he had lied on his resume about his last job. He had gotten fired and arrested for minor consuming on the job. We were going to approach him today when he showed up, however last night he was caught stealing Red Bull and was escorted out by the security manager and arrested soon after. Not even 3 days. I started and quit a job the same day. I was hired at about 10 a.m. at a local restaurant. I spent the first 4 hours shadowing another worker. Right away, I got a bad feeling about the manager on duty. She was pushy, behaved sort of erratically, and seemed like a generally unpleasant person. I finished my lunch/training shift without incident. At that point, the manager finished her shift and went to the restaurant's bar. I had volunteered to come back and work the dinner shift since I really needed the cash and they were willing to give me my own section. Between the time I left after the lunch shift and came back to start the dinner shift, 2 hours tops, the manager from that morning had gone from weirdo to blackout drunk weirdo. My assigned section was close to the bar, so I got a front row seat to her shenanigans. Shouting, harassing the bartender, getting handsy with male customers, knocking things over. It's a total mystery why one of the other managers/owners hadn't made her leave. Near the end of the night, she apparently said the wrong thing to the wrong customer and someone threw a punch. I heard the commotion, but my view was blocked by a wall. When I turned the corner, I ended up stepping between the manager and the woman she was fighting. A fist came within about 2 inches of my face. I quickly finished my side work and left. I called the owner as I walked out and quit over the phone. He said he didn't blame me and asked to see me the next morning. I thought so he could get back the stupid apron I had that was technically company property. When I got there the next morning, he handed me an envelope with what turned out to be about 3 days' pay in it and said that he was deeply sorry. He didn't try and talk me out of quitting or anything. He was just really nice about the whole thing. Thank you for watching. Guys, thank you for all the support and likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. See you next time.